body is giving you all of these signs. I mean, my heart would start racing. I would start to get, a little sweaty. My anxiety, I could just feel start fluttering up, and like everything became like flashes of just like urgency. And my body was reacting in a way to the confrontation or the bullying, to where the easiest thing, my body was saying, just fucking people please, so we can stop being anxious and we can stop freaking out and we can stop this panic mode. Like, just go ahead and tell him yes.
Ugly Truth of Divorce podcast with Sam and Leah, helping you not just survive, but thrive.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Ugly Truth of Divorce. We are your hosts, Sam and Leah, and we are going to talk about people pleasing today. And we are both former people pleasers.
Yes, recovering people pleasers.
So I was listening to this podcast this morning, and because you told me what we were going to talk about, and I thought it was a great subject. We've given a training on this before.
Yes,
how to not be a people pleaser.
Yes.
But I was listening to a Mel Robbins podcast because she's like my idol, and the lot of background information that this doctor that she had on was talking about, and one of just the examples of many that she gave was when you were a child and you see your parents fighting, and you see the plate get broken, and you see your mom go to the corner and say, okay, go upstairs and just stay upstairs. Let me talk to your dad. You go upstairs and you instantly go, okay, well, I got to make sure I don't cross the line because I don't want to be the plate, and I don't want to be mom, and I don't want to be yelled at. So you learn by watching conflict to become a pleaser so that you don't become a problem.
Right. It's like a defense mechanism.
Yeah. So this doctor was saying it's a learned behavior. You learn how to be a people pleaser because of the environment you're in. Things happen to you. You got traumatized by them. So you figure out how to never have to go through that again. Yeah. And I was just like, I think every kid has been in that situation. I know my kids have been in that situation where they've seen people fight, and then go, okay, I'm not, because I was instantly thinking of my kids as I was listening to this podcast of they saw their dad act a certain way and they went, okay, well, I don't want that wrath. So I'm going to act this way. And then I'm over there going, why don't you stand up for yourself? And they're like, because it was just mind blowing to me today. The things that this doctor was talking about, how she had learned to be a people pleaser early in life. So
I think that's just always where it starts. And there's like three origins, they say. So the first is that parental influence. It says children are highly influenced by their parents or caregivers. If a child grows up in an environment where pleasing others is highly valued and rewarded, they may internalize this as the primary way to gain approval and love. The second one is conditional love. So it says, in some families, love and approval may seem conditional upon meeting certain expectations or behaving in a specific way. So children may learn that compliance and catering to others' needs are the path to feeling loved and secure. And then there's the HC, fear and rejection. Children naturally fear rejection, and they may begin to associate their worth with how well they can meet the demands and expectations of those around them. This fear of rejection can manifest as a strong desire to please others. That is me. Yeah. I think that stems not only from my parents passing away, but even probably just their relationship before that. I had those abandonment issues from a young age. And so I definitely feared rejection and being alone. So I was always trying to make others happy and make sure that I wasn't rocking the boat. And and I think the thing that is so damaging about this is you really just, you're abandoning yourself constantly. You don't really know who you are because you're afraid to be authentic. You're afraid to just make a choice that feels right for you because of the possible repercussions from everybody around you.
Yeah. And I just keep picturing kids, and like she gave another example. She's like, when you tell your kids, like, go to your room and don't come out till you put a smile on that face. You're programming your kid to go into the room, deal with their own shit, figure out their life, figure out their feelings, their coping skills, and then come out and do what you told them to do, which is to put a smile on their face. Like, I can't tell you how many times as a child, sorry, Dad, but he told me to knock it off and quit crying.
Right.
And so around here, everybody in my house is allowed to cry for however long they need to fucking cry. And it's a cry fest sometimes. If you're hurt, cry as long as you need. Scream, holler. I don't give a shit. Because I hated that as a child. I
Yeah.
hated being told I was emotional about a game or about something, and his talking to me made me cry, and I would start crying, and his instant thing was, knock it off, stop crying, and I'm just like, ugh. And so I would stop crying to please him, and then therefore I shut my own emotions down, and I think that manifested into shit later for sure. But it was just like that little subtle thing that we're telling our kids, knock it off, do what I need you to do, which is don't
Mhm.
cause this scene in public. Don't do that right now. And I'm not saying we should let our kids be fucking, chaos all the time in public, but really stop and think about, like, are you allowing that kid to figure things out and feel the emotions they need to feel? Or is it going to come out
Mhm.
later when they write, crayon all over the wall or punch their brother in the face and all that other
Mhm.
stuff? Like, it's because we're like telling them, like, don't do that now, or don't do that here, and go do this, go do what I want. And then we're cultivating people pleasers. Like, it was
Mhm.
just so subtle how she mentioned it in the podcast. I was just like, holy shit. And I think for when you witness such high things, abuse or your parents fighting or something as a child, I think you instantly mold yourself into, I don't want to be target. So I will always put myself in the kiss ass mode that, yeah, whatever
Mhm.
you need. And, I think both of my children were very good at telling their dad what he wanted to hear so that they were not the target.
Mhm. And I
And
mean, let's be real, that happens in
survival.
relationships all the
Oh
time.
gosh. Yeah. It's
In
survival.
marriages,
Hmm.
yeah.
Hmm.
It's like,
Hmm.
"I'm just sick of fucking fighting with you. I'm sick of you getting mad all the time. I'm just gonna walk on eggshells. I'm gonna make sure I'm gonna make you your sandwich. I'm gonna give you your space, and I'm gonna let you play your video games." Like, it's like you just bend over until you can't go
Yeah.
back any further because you're just trying to avoid that conflict or rejection or abandonment or all of that.
But she used one word that I never put the two together. A lot of us become people pleasers because we're bullied into it.
Mm,
I can tell you that's my 8 years of being a people pleaser with my ex-husband. I felt bullied into compromising what he wanted
right.
because it was
Because
the
then
path
otherwise
of.
you'd have to, like, pay a consequence.
Yes. And
Mhm.
so I never looked at it that way, that I just thought it was a me thing, like, well, it's my personality to be a people pleaser. And it's like, no, I was bullied into it and I allowed it. I mean, I allowed it,
Mhm.
self-reflection,
Mhm.
but it was because I was bullied. And I am somebody that back then does not like confrontation, so that I would just be like, it's just easier. It's just easier. And I
Yeah.
hear people tell me that all the time. And then I have to ask you this. This is one thing that pisses me off in my comment section from the trolls, is they're like, you're not doing what's in the best interest of your children. And after hearing today, I'm like, oh, so you just want me to give in to the bully.
Right. Well, I think that when people say that, they just have it's so out of context. They have no idea what it's like to
No,
participate in a high conflict co-parenting situation.
no.
Like, because if they did, they would know exactly what you
Yeah.
mean.
They'd sit down and shut up.
You don't have a choice. You're not given a choice. You would love to be able to compromise and invite them over
Yeah.
for barbecues, but that is just, like, not the way it goes.
No.
Yeah, we do see this in our with our clients in co-parenting a lot, as people pleasing. Like, they don't want to be seen as the high conflict one, or that, so they're acting as secretary and they're forwarding all the doctors,
Yeah.
visits information, and they're trying to make everything as easy as possible for the other person, because they think if they continue to do that, then maybe they'll be nicer to them, right? Or
Yeah.
won't drag them to court or manipulate the situation, or
Yeah.
um, yeah, so here it says there's some common signs and behaviors associated with people pleasing. So this might be you, this could be your kids. So these are some things to keep an eye out.
Mm.
Number one, first and foremost, difficulty setting boundaries. We all know it, right? Also, fear of conflict, prioritizing others' needs over your own. Moms, you're real good at this one.
Yep.
Constant need for validation, feeling overwhelmed and resentful. And honestly, that kind of ties in with the boundaries. If you're feeling overwhelmed and resentful, if you're feeling like you're worn too thin, that is a big red flag that you need to be implementing boundaries, because
Yep.
you're overextending yourself. Yeah.
I think for me, like, one part that came up in this podcast was your body starts talking to you. So, like, here comes this like confrontation where you're used to just folding and being a people pleaser. But
Mhm.
you're because your body is giving you all of these signs. I mean, my heart would start racing. I would start to get, a little sweaty. My anxiety, I could just feel start fluttering up, and like everything became like flashes of just like urgency. And my body was reacting in a way to the confrontation or the bullying to where the easiest thing my body was saying, just fucking people please, so we can stop being anxious and we can stop freaking out and we can stop this panic mode. Like, just go ahead and tell him yes, because my body was showing such visual reactions to him, like, and it wasn't like anything he was doing directly to me. It was just the confrontation I was going to have. My body was reacting in a way that it was telling me, just people please, so we can stop feeling this way. And I would give into that. And I will tell you, once I learned boundaries and once I learned confidence and once I told him no, my body at first it would do the whole same thing. It would fight me, fight me, fight me. And I'm like, no, I am not giving into this. My body I had panic attacks. I mean, it got to the point where I had to get over the wall of realizing what is on the other side of this body that's like having a whole panic attack in itself, just because I want to tell him no. Like, that's it. I just wanted to say no, but my body was telling me, just compromise, just say yes, so we can be done with. And it's so weird that my body was the one that kind of told me to say yes, the way my whole physical body would react. So I don't know. Let us know wherever you're listening to this. Does your body do that? You know, the heart racing, the nerves, the panic attack, all that come over you to where that's why you end up just saying yes, because your body is physically reacting in such a way.
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean. Just that feeling of my chest. I would feel like somebody's like sitting on my chest. I would get that like knot in my stomach. I would get a little like just like sweaty. I mean, just that panic, that anxiety.
But it was easier to give in. It was easier to give in.
You just wanted to be over with.
Your body would go back to normal, you know?
Right.
And then now that I know that, like, that is your body's, you know, protective mode kicking in to like, hey, let's just do what's easier. Like, we're on survival here. Our job is survival. So just say yes. But for me, mentally, I had to say no eventually, because for me, as everybody knows, I hope by now, my kids were watching me be that people pleaser. And they were slowly doing it. I remember just as it was yesterday, I would ask her something so simple. What do you want for dinner? I don't care. What do you want? And I thought, man, this kid is so sweet. She doesn't care what she has for dinner. She's just so nice. And after a while, I'd be like, okay, we're going to order pizza. What do you want on your pizza? She'd go, I don't care, whatever you want. And I'm like, this girl, she is just so. And then after a while, I'm like, she hasn't made any fucking decisions. What's going on? And it's because she had watched high conflict at her dad, and she figured out, just say yes to everything. Sounds good. You look great. Absolutely love you most. Blah, blah, blah. Anything you want on your pizza. And then she was doing it at my house, where it was safe to do whatever the hell you wanted, but she was just so like programmed that she didn't even know what her own choices was. Now, I will tell you, fast forward, this girl has figured out her own choices. She wears what she wants to wear. She talks how she wants to talk. She's friends with who she wants to say. I mean, she has come into herself because I stopped being a people pleaser. She took note, and then she stopped doing it as well. But it was really hard when we were all in that boat of people pleasing. We all acted like we were badasses at our house. But then when we'd go out in public, we were like, fold over, do what everybody said. And it was just, it's horrible to look back and think, I let everybody think that they could control me because I was allowing them to.
Right.
With people, employers, you know, and that's kind of where I first got my big, like, no, I'm done doing this shit. It was when I started standing up to my bosses who were just doing some stupid shit. But before I'd be like, yeah, okay, I'll do it. Yeah, okay, I'll take that on. Yeah, okay, I'll do that. And it was just weighing on me too hard. So I think you have to hit a rock bottom. I mean, what was your pivotal moment to stop being, do you even remember, like, when you were like, enough?
I think it was after my second divorce, because that's when I really just started to learn all the things like self-awareness and understanding my intentions and learning how to just accept myself for who I was. And that helped me, because when you accept yourself, you don't really fear rejection anymore. So you can embrace yourself and you can start showing up as your true self. Like, so then when I did start kind of like dating again and talking to people, I just gave no fucks. Like, I just wasn't attached to any outcomes anymore. I wasn't worried of like, is he going to like me? Am I wearing the right thing? Am I saying the right thing? Am I going to say I like the right music? Do we watch the same movies? Like, I didn't care. I was just like showing up. This is me. Like, it's either going to work or it's not.
Yeah.
So I think that was really the first time. And I mean, shit, it was in my like late 30s, like when that started happening, you know, like I spent most of my life just trying to be accepted by
Yeah.
people, you know?
And I think now that like I'm learning more about this, something else that came up on my walk was when I was younger, I don't think I was a people pleaser at all. I was kind of known as being like, really assertive. And some people would say a bitch, but I would have a lot of people come to me and say, "Hey, Sam, can you go tell that coach? Hey, Sam, can you go tell that teacher?"
Mm.
Because they didn't have the ability to. And I lost that in my marriage and I lost that post divorce, but now I have that back. So now I do have people like when we have stuff happen in our school district or in our community, people, tend to come this way and say, "Hey, Sam, can you take care of this?" And it is a trait that my whole family has. And I'm prideful of that because I can see it in my daughter. I can see it in my son. They're just very matter of fact. They're not asking people to do things for them. They're handling it themselves. And so I'm telling you, if my kids can go from the people pleasing children that they were to be the self assertive people that they are now, and they don't let people take advantage of them, and they hold themselves high and accountable, anybody can do it. And I know
Mhm.
some people are asking, and we give trainings on this inside the next chapter, guys. Like this is what we do. I mean,
Mhm.
this is a podcast, and we want you guys to know that you're not alone, that we too have been in these same boats. But this is the kind of help that you guys need. You need that help of, okay, I am a people pleaser. How do I stop? Because I see my kids following suit. And that's what we do inside the next chapter.
Mhm.
We really do. We help people out.
Yeah. And there's a couple tips I can
Yeah.
give you now. So let's say you want to stop being a people pleaser. So number one is cultivating self-awareness. You've got
Mhm.
to recognize those people pleasing patterns if you're going to interrupt those patterns. So
Write it
just
down.
start by like identifying situations
Yeah.
where you tend to people please. Pay
Mhm.
attention to the emotions and the thoughts that arise when you feel the need to please others. Pay attention to really what's going on internally. And then
Mine was just my ex-husband. I mean,
yeah,
that could be on ex-husband was the leading cause to my people pleasing,
right.
but also now knowing childhood. But like if I had to write down, if I was keeping a journal, because when we write it, it makes it real. If I was keeping a journal of every time I felt that panic, it was connected to him.
Yeah.
Drop off
Yeah.
time, pickup time, sporting events, public places, emails. He was the root cause. And my feeling of him was the root cause.
Right.
That was the any other way I was kind of conducting myself pretty well. He though had a grap on me that was just mm,
Yeah. So if you're trying to please someone because you fear their reaction, if you feel like their reaction is going to be negative or they're going to reject you or they're going to be angry, then that's a sign to really evaluate that relationship as a whole. Because
yeah,
if, like, let's say you've got a friend, I have like a cat hair that's like stuck on my face.
I hate
Let's say
that.
that you have a friend um, that you're afraid to just like be truthful with about where you
Oh,
want to go to dinner or what kind of clothes, just whatever. If you're afraid to
easy
just
stuff.
be
Yeah.
yourself because you don't know if they'll like that, that's a huge red flag to me that's not really an authentic, genuine connection then. And so then it comes back to, okay, well, if I am honest with this person and then they're going to reject me, then I need to just be okay with that. I need to just detach from that from that outcome and just say, well, I don't need you in my life. Like I'm not
Yeah.
here to make you happy. I'm here to be me. And either that's enough for you or it's not.
Yeah.
Right. And I think we get caught up in this people pleasing with co-parenting because you're stuck with that person. Even if it's a horrible person and you're trying to set these boundaries, you can't just not have a relationship with them. You're always going to have some kind of relationship with
Right.
them until your kids are old enough where
Right.
you maybe don't have to talk. And so I think that's where a lot of our clients and moms that watch us struggle with. So then when it comes to things like that, then that really comes down to you just setting strong boundaries, because you have to understand that you're never going to change that person, not what they say, how they feel, what they think, what they do. You have no control.
Right.
And so a lot of people mistake requests for boundaries. Like you ask them to do something. You say, stop doing this. Please stop talking about me like this. Please stop texting me these things. That's not a boundary. That's a request. And if you're dealing with somebody who's high conflict, they don't give a fuck. They're never going to, they're not going to, yeah,
Right.
that's just like a new game for them, a new
Right.
button to push, right? A boundary is if you do this, then I'm going to do this.
And you don't have to tell them.
You're in control. Yeah,
You
you
don't
don't
have
even you don't even necessarily have to
you don't
tell
have
them.
to tell them. No.
if you're telling them, I'm only going to talk to you on our family wizard, because that's what our parenting plan says, and they keep trying to call you, you don't answer. You never, you do not pick up that phone. You talk to them only through our family
But
wizard.
Leah, what if they call their lawyer and say that I'm not being communicative?
Great. Then you can play that out. Right. But
Right?
that's what we do. We play it out. We say, okay, let's just pretend he's going to take you to court for that. And the judge is going to say, I've been calling her and she's not answering her phone. And then you're going to say, well, our parenting plan says that we should be using our family wizard for communication. So that's what I'm doing. They're going to be like, why the fuck are you here?
Right. Something so simple like that, guys. And I know there's some of you that are watching and listening that are going, yeah, Sam, but play it all the way out. You guys sometimes just like conform to the people pleasing person that's bullying you because it's easier than that threat, because in your mind that threat is real, and that threat is reality, and that threat will be heard, and that threat will be punished. And it's like, play it all the way out, sister. Like,
Right.
honestly, in front of a judge, what will he say? That he called you 17 times in 3 days and you never responded? Okay, psycho, you shouldn't be calling that many times, especially when we have a court order to use an app. Like, you guys, and I'm a victim of that. I did the same thing. I was like, but it's just easier because he's going to take me back to court, because mine was taking me to court every 3 months because that was his hobby. But again, how does it sound out loud? But we
Mhm.
live in this world of like, it'll be believed because we know the family court system is broken, but play it all the way out sometimes and hold your boundary. And I'm telling you, a lot of times there's some severe psychopathic assholes out there that are going to be high conflict and be a Dateline special waiting to happen. But most of the time, guys, they just bark, they bark, they bark, and they never really bite and take you to court. They just always say it. I'm going to take you to court. I'm going to take you to court. Then fucking do you, boo. Do
Right.
what you got to do. Fill out
Manipulation.
the paperwork if you know how to spell it. Go ahead. You can do it. But a lot of us just go ahead and give in to that, and sometimes even before the threat, because it's easier. And
Yeah.
all it's doing, and here's the you can keep going with these tips, but here's what this doctor ended up saying at the end of this call. I listened to it as I was getting ready. It makes you sick.
Mm-hmm.
The stress of people pleasing, eventually the resentment and the not being yourself and not
Mm-hmm.
giving yourself an identity because you're just conforming to other people's needs,
Overextending all the time.
will stress
Mhm.
you out and
Mhm.
make you sick. And that's 80% of illness is related to stress.
Mhm. Those
Inflammation
cortisol
is
levels, yeah.
stress related. And so it's like, I know that's me and my colitis. I know my colitis was in its worst of worst when I know I was stressed. I was shitting the bed from colitis, dead asleep, shit the bed. I don't even care about telling this story because this is the real shit of stress. I couldn't figure it out. I'd go to doctors, like, you have colitis. There's not much you can do, but man, limit your food. I was down to eating bare bones and nothing, still shitting my brains out. It was all stress. Because the second I got a hold of this boundary thing and confidence, guess who stopped having colitis? Guess who stopped having shit in the bed scenarios? Like, the stress was making me so sick.
Yeah.
So sick from not standing up for myself. It was
Right.
eating at my body. I mean, no doctor could figure it out. Like, surely you should be okay. I was on steroids. I was on everything. Like, why are you still pooping so much? It was all stress.
Yeah, that's so crazy. And that's why we're preaching all the time to our clients about like self-care and how fucking important that is. Like,
Yeah.
divorce is one of the most stressful things you will ever go through in your life. And co-parenting is horrible if you're dealing with a horrible person.
Yeah.
And there's so much stress that can come from that. And if your levels are high like that, day
Weight
in and
gain.
day out, that cortisol is pumping through you, it will fuck you up. It will
Oh,
manifest into physical ailments then that you have to deal with. And so you have to prioritize yourself and take care of yourself and do things to help ground yourself and center yourself and de-stress and find that peace and get enough sleep and eat healthy foods and get outside and move your body. All of the things that we talk about. This is why, because if you're constantly stressed, you're gonna cause a lot more problems in your body.
like, people talk about, oh, the divorce diet. I lost 25 pounds. I mean, really, you lost probably 200, but um, it's because of stress. This is not a, oh my gosh, it's divorce diet. Look how happy I am. It's because your body is going through such a traumatic, stressful event that it's shedding weight. Now, other of us, we gain a little weight and we packed it on because of stress.
Mhm.
So it can go one of two ways, but a
Mhm.
dramatic weight gain or loss, you're looking at stress is the lead cause. So I'm telling you, like all the self-help stuff and self-care stuff that Leah Marie preaches to you guys, it's the like found it's where you start.
Yeah.
Because without it, you're never gonna learn confidence. You're never gonna learn boundaries because you aren't taking care of yourself first. You have to
Right.
know who you are. I think of just a simple example of you sent me a tattoo idea for this vacation. And we have matching tattoos already, and we're gonna get another one. And the old me would just be like, yeah, I'll get the same size. Yeah, that sounds fine. But I wasn't. I was like, no, I'm gonna go smaller. Like I would have probably never back in the day ever confronted size of anything and just on a tat and just be like, yep, that sounds good.
Mm.
And now I'm like, no, I think I'm going to go smaller in placement. I might do this and this and that. Like coming into yourself, and that might not sound like a big deal to some people, but making your own decisions that are different than the crowd or different than your best friend or different than your parents. I mean, me quitting my job was different, like, and
Right.
I had to do that and knowing it was not going to please people. I just think you've probably started to do this in different parts of your life. You need to start doing it with your co-parent of
Mhm.
just standing up for yourself and making a decision and playing it all the way out, all the way to court if that's what they say they're going to do, because it will eat at you. I mean, your face will be all broke out. You'll be drinking. You won't be sleeping. You're going to have restless nights, insomnia, whatever it is. It's coming out of you some way. You think, oh, I'm doing what's best for kids. I'm people pleasing. I'm just going to make it easier for my kids. But how's your body treating you? I guarantee it's probably not good. It's not good at all. So, what else we got? Was there any other tips that we need to add before we wrap this up?
I think other than the self-awareness, it's also just important to understand your why, right? So just when you
Yeah.
catch yourself people pleasing, just pause, take a beat and just ask yourself, okay, why am I really doing this? Is it
That's
because I want to avoid conflict, gain approval, avoid feeling guilty, right? Is this why I'm saying yes when I really want to say no? Am I going to have
right.
resentment if I say yes? Kind of just check yourself, because when you can understand your motivations, that's really the key to change. That's what gives you the power and puts you back in the driver's seat.
Absolutely. So again, like we said, guys, inside the next chapter is where you can find trainings like this. We're constantly putting out new trainings. And I just want you to know that that's where you need to be. Leah Marie and I did not have that when we were going through our divorces. And this is just a safe place for women to hang out, get some trainings,
Mhm.
ask questions, which today is Thursday. When this airs, it'll be Monday. But today is Thursday when we always record this. And right after this podcast, we always jump into the next chapter and we answer their questions. So
Mhm.
they're going to be posting questions. We're going to read them briefly and then just kind of give them some strategies. No legal advice, but just strategies, tips, and tricks on how to make their lives improve for the better for their next chapter. Okay. So if that's something you're interested in, leave us a note. Check out samandleah.com. Otherwise, we will see you next week.